the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
All right, we're back here on the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I am now joined by a first-timer. He is the University of Tennessee men's golf coach, Brennan Webb. Brennan, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Chase. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I've always wondered, in like different sports, like basketball, they don't really have to worry about it. It's all indoors year-round. It doesn't really matter what the weather is like throughout the year in terms of training. When I think about golf and what y'all do in the cold months, because I mean, it gets cold here, and we're here on Rocky Top, and it gets cold. Like, what do y'all do? What do you enjoy the cold weather and doing different kinds of stuff? But as a golf coach at UT, I can already tell you're not a fan.
There's some cold days for sure. Good news is, our fall season ends generally before November, so towards the end of October, and then with Christmas and kind of the new winter mini term, we're not really getting started until late January. So things are, not quite as cold as they would be in December and January, and then we usually sneak away for those first 2 weekends that we get back in class. And before you know it, we're on our way to Puerto Rico and Cabo and, San Diego for tournaments and forgot about the cold real quick.
That's a good deal. I mean, what do you do around Knoxville? Like, how do you train around here?
Well, we're fortunate we have indoor facilities here at our clubhouse so that where you can hit balls from the indoor out into the outdoor, see the ball flying. Have an indoor simulator green, much like you see on the TGL. Now, this exact same company built us a green here to fit into our clubhouse. So, that can kind of get you through the days when it's just impossible to get outside. But the golf courses are open 12 months a year. We're probably going to be playing if the golf course is open and we need to get out there. So just bundle up some hot hands and get ready to roll.
Do you like TGL and like that kind of different spin on golf?
I mean, I think it's good that it brings some eyeballs to the sport. I'm probably not pretty much a traditionalist, so it's not something that gets me too excited. But I do enjoy that there's just more people getting into golf, and I think all of these new things that a golfer popping up with Top Golf and Putt Shack and all these other things can only help the sport as a whole.
How much has the sport changed since you first got into golf? Does it still look like the sport that you fell in love with, or is it pretty different now?
I think it's a lot different. It's a lot more athletic. Certainly, kind of the people that used to play golf were the ones that couldn't really play any other sports kind of thing. And now it's, Tiger just changed all of that. And so you've seen since Tiger came into the forefront, 30 years ago, that everything has just been kind of taken up a notch from an athletic standpoint, and certainly equipment and technology has led to that as well. So yeah, it's a lot different for sure.
So what does the increased athleticism change about the makeup of modern golfers versus golfers 30 years ago?
Yeah, I think strategy for one, for sure. I mean, now it's kind of just hit it as far as you can and then figure it out from there. Whereas before it was kind of, you just plod your way along the golf course, avoid the hazards, make sure you stay short of that bunker, kept it out of the rough. Now, statistics have proven you're better off being 100 yards from the green in the rough than you are 130 yards from the fairway. And so, that's definitely the biggest thing for sure, is just the strategy behind the game has changed with stats and with the athleticism that combined together.
And it's funny because I don't think a lot, even just so many different golfers, just so many people who are into golfing, whether that's on their school team, whatever, or they're just playing with their friends on the weekends. You don't associate it with analytics as much. Like, we're hearing analytics so much about with football, basketball, baseball especially. But in terms of the golf aspect, you don't really hear the analytics approach. But you're coaching and you're seeing numbers that I think a lot of fans don't see. I mean, do you like the increased amount of analytics and people telling you that, like, the 130 versus 100 yard? Like, do you like that, or would you rather not know?
No, I love that. I'm a math guy, numbers all day long. All I ever did as a child was look at the stats page in the Toronto newspaper. So studied box scores of every sport that I could possibly do. So numbers are my thing. I love it. Before every tournament, we have a pre-scout meeting, go over each hole with a kind of an overlay from Google Earth and talk about what your average expected score would be if you hit it here, and what your expected score would be if you hit it here, and kind of factor in our game plan through those things and an algorithm that we have. And it certainly makes everything a little easier to explain, a little easier to coach. Today's athlete, they don't want to know just what, but they also want to know why. And so to have the numbers to back it up has certainly helped the coaching and really helped our guys buy into that stuff.
Do most kids come in analytically savvy, or is that something you're having to teach them when they get here most of the
Yeah,
time?
we talk a lot about it during the recruiting process. I think, doing your stats is an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the guys on the PGA Tour, their stats are done for them through the
Mm-hmm.
ShotLink program. But we talk about our recruits, and certainly when kids have committed here, we expect them to start doing their stats right after that, and we can start talking to them about how we're going to use that for their practice and also preparing for tournaments with their strategy.
How much have you grown as a head coach here from your first year 7 years ago to now?
A lot, a lot. I think those guys on my first team would probably wouldn't recognize the team meetings that we have now. I think they would probably say I've gotten softer
Hmm.
as I've gotten further along, but I just feel like I've really tried to evolve as a coach and understand that these players are different than they were maybe even 10 or 11 years ago when I first started coaching. Their expectations of just what they expect from their coach and what goes into this deal, it's changed for sure. And so yeah, it's ever evolving. And I think people always ask me, what about the transfer portal? What about NLI? Is that bother you? And it's like, no, I mean, you just adapt or die. That's kind of how my mentality behind it all. And if you don't, then it's not for you because it's not changing. And so this is what it is. And you again adapt or die.
I think that's the kind of attitude you had to have, right? I mean, Rick Barnes has done great at it. I think it's just every coach is different. Every coach is wired differently. Some people are wired like Jay Wright. Some people are wired like Rick Barnes, where it's like, I don't think there is a right answer to this question, but I do think it's interesting hearing different perspectives like yours or Rick's or Josh and Vitella. Like there's just so many different people who come to it where you're playing at a big time program here at UT, and it's part of the deal. And it's also kind of fun. I feel like because so many coaches are so competitive, and to get to the top of the sport, you have to be hyper competitive, that it's just another layer of competition that I think the best coaches kind of seek out, right? Like you want the best team, best players. It's fun.
It's what it is, and if you didn't, we didn't get here just, for to hang out and
Yeah.
play rec sports. And this is the top of the mountain. The expectations are what they are, and we've all bought into it. And I've been, talking to V about this for 4 or 5 years about,
Mm.
we just got to keep going and keep going. And I feel like obviously he's done a really, really good job, and I'm trying to follow in his footsteps. But it's just what it is, and this is what we all want. This is why we're all at Tennessee, and it's the same that I expect the kids that we recruit to feel the same way.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten from Vitello?
I mean, a little bit of just more of the evolution of coaching, and
Mm.
even he'll talk about that he's had to adapt and he's had to change. And but for him, I love going to practice. I love
Mm.
sitting in the dugout. I hang
Yeah.
out there all the time. That's kind of my like little zen period. I'm a
Mm.
baseball guy, Blue Jays all the way. And so I've been I just sit there and listen to him, and every day I'll pick up something, and I'll like, oh yeah, and I'll talk to him about it after and say I'm gonna say something about that to my team. And he actually came over last year after
Mm.
Caleb left in December, and everyone kind of had written us off, and he came over and we talked about just, the will to win and the will and desire to compete. And he certainly has that. And I try to pick up as much of that from him as I can. And it's been a great friendship, and certainly I learned a lot from him.
What made Caleb such a different special golfer?
Oh man, he was just obsessed with it.
Mm.
His work ethic was still is something that you just can't match. I mean, you can't be better than him. You can't work harder. And so the competitive side of him and what he combined with his mentality and his physical skills was, obviously a special package. And talked to him, this morning, even on coming into work, and he's still, you know, just the same, just a different dude for 20. Well, he just turned 21. And the things he talks about is, are things that 38 and 39-year-old tour players maybe haven't even thought of yet. So yeah, he's just a different kind of level of what elite is. And he brought checked off every box when it comes to that stuff.
How impressed have you been with Jackson Herrington thus far?
I think Jackson's physical skill set is definitely the best that's ever entered and walked on campus. I've been more impressed here lately with just his attitude. His mentality is is one that is going to serve him very, very, very well for a very, very long career. He doesn't get too bogged down in the details, but he still cares enough. He's made a significant changes in his mentality and how he goes about his business since he got here, which, everyone has to do. And the fact that he's done it here early on in his second semester has been good to see, because he's the type of, guy that maybe could just have gotten by on his talent and played well here and there. And I think he's bought into, there's other things he had to do, and he was willing to do it. And the results of the last couple weeks have shown that that those are taking.
What do you make of these last couple weeks? Are you happy with how things are going? Is there a big thing you'd like to see the team improve on right now? What do you think before?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of turned the ship around there. It's definitely been a disappointing season. I think we were outside the top 25 for a couple of weeks, which is the first time that's happened in 4 or 5 years. And we're back inside there now. But it's just the one thing that I take positives is that we've evolved and we've gotten better. We continue to get better. It's a young team, not a whole lot of leadership, I would say, in that they're all still trying to find their way. We've been an old team for the last few years with COVID and everything. And so we've kind of had a couple guys step up and made that transition here in the last couple of weeks, and it's made a difference in our results. Didn't play great this week in Florida, but probably more my fault than anything, cramming another tournament in on top of the one we just finished in California that, guys are pretty tired after a big stretch like that. And against, I think we've played 27 teams in the top 10 in the country in the last 3 weeks. So certainly have no room for a let up, and kind of got shown that a little bit this week. But I'm certainly far more optimistic now than I was probably January 1st on what this team is capable of.
But isn't that kind of good to kind of overwhelm a little bit in terms of tournaments and amount of playing when you have a young team like this?
Absolutely. As we talked about last night and midnight at the airport, it's like, hey, we signed up for this so that when there is a weakness, it's exposed and we can come back and work on it. Whereas we could have probably played, a lesser tournament and done the same kind of stuff, but gotten away with it because we're better than that competition and finished second, and maybe not even paid much attention to it. So the purpose of playing the schedule we're playing and against the teams we're playing is to, show these young guys what that looks like and to help us get to the next level.
Where have you always wanted to golf, Brennan, that you never got to? You travel all over the place. Is there still a spot that you want to check off the bucket list or no?
And I've been really, really, really fortunate in my life to pretty much check off all of those boxes. I've gotten to play Augusta and Pebble and Cypress Point and Royal Melbourne and St. Andrews. And so, it's tough to really sit here and want more than that. Just feel pretty blessed to have gotten the experiences that I have. That's for sure.
Maybe we get you in TGL. Like, how would that work? How do you think you perform in that environment?
I think I'd be fine as long as I didn't have to putt. That'd be good. I'm currently transitioning to left-handed putting, if that tells you anything about where I am with my putter right now. So.
Okay. Hey, there's no shame in that. Like, you're a switch hitter. Like, you're a baseball guy. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
Final thing here, and I'll get you out of here, Brennan. You know what's coming up here in a matter of days. You already talked about it. The Masters is here. I was there last year. It's just something that when you are able to go spend a day, not even just a practice round, but just be down there, it's just different. It's just nice. Like, there's just something, no phones, and you're just like, I got to watch Freddie Couples hit a crazy shot, I think on 13th hole, my dad, and it's just like, that's crazy. Like, I'm glad I got to see that in real time. There's nothing like the Empire Walk of Tiger Woods. Unfortunately, we won't get this year, but that's something that I could not really explain to people that haven't seen it in action, where you're just like the draw and just the intensity. It's just different. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, there's a lot of aura there.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, 100%. And Scotty obviously is always a good bet, Brennan, but who do you like in the Masters this year?
Man, I'm a big fan of greatness. I'm a big fan of legacy and kind of setting a bar. And so I'm a Rory guy right now.
Yeah.
I want to see him get the career Grand Slam. I want to see him get that green jacket and be able to watch him play in the Masters the next 20 years. I'm always cheering for Rory. He actually signed a letter of intent to go play golf at East Tennessee State, and that's where I played. So little connection there as well. But yeah, I mean, Rory is he's my first choice always, and until he gets it, then maybe we'll shift allegiances. But I'm a Rory guy.
you weren't last week like quietly fist pumping when ETSU took down V on a midweek game, right? Like
absolutely not. No, I have no connection to the ETSU baseball program other than I was an athlete there, but not nearly as much as the connection I feel now. I tell everyone this all the time. Hey, if you're not cheering for your paycheck in this deal, then you've got it all wrong. So that's the secret for forever and ever. My current assistant, Bo Andrews, played golf at Georgia Tech when I was the assistant coach there. And early on our time here, we played basketball against Georgia Tech, and I made sure that he was head to toe orange, and he had no problem with it. So cheer for your paycheck, or you're not going to last long.
Oh, I love it. Brennan, how do the good folks support everything you've got going here with the UT men's golf program down the stretch here?
Just kind of follow us on the socials. We should hopefully have a good, strong success here and be competing there at the end on the NCAAs on the Golf Channel, and look forward to seeing what the year has in store for us, and cheering on some hoops here, and then getting ready to switch into baseball season.
All right, Brennan, thank you so much for making the time. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll have to check back in again soon.
Sounds great, Chase. Thanks for having me, man.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.